The deputy president right now is beginning to realize who he campaigned for and that he's misled people into this Kenya Kwanza administration. I know he wishes he could leave, but he can't. But we still think of him as a son of the mountain. And if he ever comes like Baba Yao came to Limuru and said, Nimeomba msamaha. I made a mistake, I misled you people, and I'm sorry. And he was not the only one. So one day, the deputy president, you are welcome to the rest of the mountain. We are not on that other side where you are. And if you ever want to say you made a mistake, it is okay.
Kama ni mbaya.
Ni mbaya.
Kama ni mbaya.
Did you listen to the Hot Breakfast this morning? Here's what you missed.
Philip Barutu's in the house, and joining us this morning is Fanya Mambo.
Fanya Mambo.
What?
Oh yes, and so many other things. I met Kenyans on the streets and they tell me, "We fanya kazi, fanya maneno."
Do we go straight to Atlanta?
Wala Wakenya wako Mathare waliambiwa watapatiwa 10,000 shillings per person ni last 3 months.
Kila mtu.
Kuna president anatumia 2.4 million per hour.
Wow.
10,000 shillings per family to last you for 3 months. If they'll remember you after 3 months.
Yeah.
For the whole family, ndio shopping, ndio chakula, ndio food, ndio uniform yenye libebwa na vitabu za watoto, it is that 10,000 shillings. And then the guy who gave you 10,000 shillings is today rolling at 2.4 million shillings per hour.
Yani hii show Docket ikiisha itakuwa 2.4.
Yes.
Sidio?
If you take 2.4 million, I wish I had my calculator
Go
here,
on.
and you divide by the 10,000 that they are getting. Let's see how many families would get this very quickly. 2, 4, 1, 2, 3. Yeah, 2.4 million divided by the 10,000.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what 240 families would have gotten. That's what he's spending in 1 hour.
1 hour.
Yes, 240 families. So the time is done with 10 hours, 2,400 families. So in a day is about 5,000 families. What 5,000 families would have gotten, he'll spend in 24 hours.
Is that which he's bringing any important to this person in Mathare that needs that will be receiving the 10,000 shillings? Possibly, a lot of these we will be told about the foreign, the tourists that will come to Kenya, the businesses that will come to Kenya, the investors, and all that. Think about Kibra. Think about Maimahiu. Think about the Kibera people. How many will ever see the benefits of those investors? You know, we will talk about the GDP, how it will grow, and all these that come with the growth of the economy. But is it reflecting to the common mwananchi that we speak for, that we always refer to when we are talking about gharama ya maisha?
When the American president goes to some other place, does that affect the people who live on the streets in America? It doesn't. We also have to be very serious that the president,
they can afford it.
Kubishana na
even
ndovu
as
kunya.
We can't
Wewe
afford it.
unabishana na ndovu kunya.
Bas. Utapasuka.
If the solutions to our problems lived abroad, then the president should have vied to be president of the United States of America. I think the solutions to the problems we have bedeviling Kenya are to be found here. Anybody who thinks that kuna mzungu ako na haja na wewe, you are leaving the country and going to their country to pontificate yourself before them and to be made, why would the Americans waste time hosting a Kenyan president? What do they stand to benefit from it?
they stand to benefit a lot. In fact, most of these
Exactly.
European countries benefit more than we get.
Exactly. That's why
But we need
Kenyans
the
need
US
to
dollar.
realize. No. That's why Kenyans need to realize. I mean, how many Kenyans right now have even touched the dollar? Let's start there. How many have touched it?
Apart from Jeff, like here in the streets, Jeff only.
Yeah. So the thing is, the solution to most of our problems lie here. And what we need is a president who is domiciled here. The problem with African presidents is if they are not lying, they are flying. So half the time they are not on the ground. And if they are on the ground, they are lying. And if they are not lying, they are flying.
Okay, let's look at it from a positive angle, all right? Like the one for the Tyler Perry Studios is to help with the creative economy, and you know that our entertainment is way down rock bottom. Am I lying? Do we have anything new that's coming out? So what better way than to go with the creatives to try and see what they can pick from that, because that's the future of entertainment in this country. I can speak about that.
And
because
Butita's representing us.
one of the few people, Catherine Kamau is there, and 3 other people I saw in the list. You understand?
No.
But it's better than going with all those old wazes used to go for all these trips and they come back with nothing in their heads.
Nollywood from Nigeria did not need to go to the US. These things grow organically. I mean, look at the whole Indian film industry. The Chinese also have their movies. They didn't go to the US for benchmarking. Start your thing where you are. Kenyans are already doing small things on TikTok. Let's grow what we have. Nigeria, I can tell you, the first movies we used to watch 10, 15 years ago were very different from what you are watching now.
Dance at that part 1, Paka Park 6.
Yes, these people have
I'm
grown.
going to the markets.
Yeah.
And they show you from the time you
cinema
birth.
continues
Yeah.
shortly.
I'll go to
These people have grown.
But people are captivated. We are looking at what has happened before. Informs how we feel about all this today. We have seen trips abroad by the head of state before. If we were to go back and look at how much of a benefit they have been to the country, and ask a Kenyan, a common mwananchi down there,
Yes.
if they ever remember anything that came along as a result of our leaders flying out, I'm very sure, unless ni Jeff na Nick na Murutu ambao in touch with the world as it is now, not so many will tell you what benefits have come with the visits. And then we also have had, if you're talking about growing the entertainment, we have seen efforts to try and benefit Kenya on creative, the creative industry. Wakaambia how we will start monetizing Facebook, TikTok, and stuff like that. We are still waiting to get an update on where that has gotten before we go into the Tyler Perry and all this that is happening right now in the US. So whatever has happened in the past informs how Kenyans feel about these trips and all these that these visits outside the country done by the head of state and top government leadership as far as impacting Kenyans' lives is concerned.
In the meantime, Truthful Men has been very quietly being truthful on his own, and he's feeling a little rejected, or at least his allies out in Central are saying, Kama ni mbaya, kama ni mbaya.
A bit of some confusion here. You know, they made the Limuru 3 as an indicator of what is happening in the mountain. In the first, at first, people thought maybe the DP had something to do with the Limuru 3. When Moses Kuria, the CS, the public service, was speaking on TV the other day with Sam, when he spoke about those that are attending Limuru 3 should go and eat. They should not go home hungry because he knows someone has put there some 10 million. Many people thought this was Gachagua being pointed out because of the history the two have. They've not been cruising so peacefully in this KK government. But then when they were in Nyeri the other day, I saw Nyeri woman rep saying, Gachagua has not even recovered his monies that he used in the campaign. He's still counting losses. He has no money to spend on Limuru 3. So he distanced the DP from Limuru 3. And then the narrative went on and they were bashing the Limuru 3 and all that. But at the backdrop of all that, there was this tone from some of those leaders who are pointing the likes of Kenandindi Nyoro, Kenaitumbis, as people being used by some of the leaders from the Rift Valley region to sideline the DP. And so the question is, after all those sentiments, the Truthful Men, for the first time, decided, I will not wade into this. He said, I will not say anything about this. I will keep quiet and work. That alone tells you things are going south for the truthful man?
I was involved in the planning, execution, and I was at Limuru 3. I was on the podium. I spoke at Limuru 3. So we are Limuru 3 and Limuru 3 is here. And I can tell you that was the most successful event. We did not want to fill a stadium. We had planned a delegates thing, 2,500 delegates at most. I remember we were sending messages from Jubilee, and the message was very clear that please come, but sponsor yourself. We are not giving out money for transport. We are not giving lunch. We are not giving that.
At a lunch.
But we got 4,200 people interested, and they all got messages in a tent that could hold only 2,500. We ended up with more than 6,000 people at Limuru 3. And they came on their own, some by tuk-tuks, Probox. We saw all sorts of people. And even those who could afford a Prado drove their Prado in there. It was a peaceful meeting. It was a successful meeting. In fact, I would like to tell the Honorable Kimani Ichung'wah, if you're not aware, please wake up. Limuru 3 happened. It took place. It was there. He had said it would not happen. It took place, it was there. We can send him a pin location and a live link for the whole event. It went on very smoothly. And when the bulk of us were organizing to unite the Mount Kenya community in Limuru, Kimani Ichung'wah was leading a team that was dispersing Mount Kenya residents with bullets here and there. And unfortunately, we lost a life. So who is more interested in the mountain? Is it the likes of Kimani Ichung'wah, who are leading a team of people who is dispersing Mount Kenya with bullets, or us who are uniting the mountain? So Limuru 3 was a resounding success. And actually I think the DP was privy to intelligence information. He was told, don't fight Limuru 3. Don't even fight the agenda of Limuru 3. And that's why way before we went there, he came out and said, I support one man, one vote, one shilling, which is what we have always campaigned for, amongst many other things. So the deputy president right now is beginning to realize who he campaigned for, and that he's misled people into this Kenya Kwanza administration. I know he wishes he could leave, but he can't. But we still think of him as a son of the mountain. And if he ever comes like Baba Yao came to Limuru and said, Nimeomba msamaha. I made a mistake, I misled you people, and I'm sorry. And he was not the only one. So one day, the deputy president, you are welcome to the rest of the mountain. We are not on that other side where you are. And if you ever want to say you made a mistake, it is okay. Badala ya kusema kama mbaya, it's okay. You can say, I'm human, I made a mistake. This was the wrong side to take people to. We still love you. You are still one of us. And there's no Mount Kenya person we are going to exclude from our plans of uniting the region. Because we cannot say we are uniting the region and secluding others.
Marutu, tell me something. It's a little too early for him to be isolated from the mix, from the equation?
In the country called Kenya,
yes,
nothing is too early when you're talking about politics. Because as soon as we announce that we swear in the president, not even swearing, we don't even wait to swear in the president. We begin campaigns for the next elections. Immediately after the thing is done at Bomas,
yes,
they say this person has won. But having said that, you see, the argument in Nyeri, the DP allies, was that Limuru 1 was the intentions of Limuru 1 was to elect to get President Kibaki into power, the late President Kibaki into power. Limuru 2 was to get retired President Uhuru Kenyatta into power. Then they said, we already have William Ruto in power. Why was Limuru 3 being held? That was a question that was posed in Nyeri, which I would wish to get his comment. But even as we look at it in that light, I also know that there are those that think it never had. One would expect that it would have elected leaders. And that was a question, again, that was raised by some of them there. That you say it had 32 political parties or thereabout, that one. But where were the elected leaders from the mountain region, the representative of the people? Those are some of the questions that were being asked. That the DP was there but never said anything about this left many guessing, because we do not know whether Now that Limuru 3 stands for the 1 man, 1 shilling, 1 vote agenda, we do not know where he stands, having been amidst people who are opposed to Limuru 3. Those are some of the questions that should be coming out clearly for people to understand the distinction. Limuru 1, Limuru 2, they gave reasons why they were there. They're saying Limuru 3 didn't have an agenda because we have a president in place. We didn't have elected leaders in that Limuru 3. Where was the agenda, or what was the agenda for Limuru 3?
I'll start with a very easy one. Elected leaders, the MP for Embakasi was there, Mwenje. Embakasi Central, I think. Mwenje was there. Mm-hmm. The MP for Starehe, where we are in, was there. And besides, there's one thing I want to tell you. You know, there was a time there was an election in the forest, and the animals were choosing who's going to be king. And the lion offered himself. The monkey also offered himself. But unfortunately, there were more monkey voters than any other animals. And so the monkeys voted for one of their own. Mm-hmm. And they kept laughing at the lion and said, look, you're not electable. You don't represent anybody in the forest. What we are not addressing is the fact that in that forest, the monkeys were more as voters, and they therefore voted for one of their own. And therefore, one of their own will be visible in so many places of leadership. But you cannot continue saying that the lion is not a lion because he was not voted for by monkeys. The lion remains a lion. It's just that in the election that happened in that forest, the monkeys were more and they voted for one of their own. Now, coming to the question of the agenda of Limuru 3, President Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta used to hold 2 mantles. The first, he was the President of the Republic of Kenya. Number 2, he was the leader of the Gema community, and he was given a stick in the Kikuyu community called Muthegi. Muthegi is that walking stick for the community leader that was given to him by the Kikuyu Council of Elders. The anointing on this Muthegi was for the presidency. It was for the seat of president. People keep telling Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta, you have not relinquished the leadership of Gema or Mount Kenya leadership. And he's telling them, why do you want to reduce the anointing on this stick? Because some of you want to get this stick to go and vie for prime cabinet secretary. I don't know, deputy what. Some even want that anointing to become a PS. The anointing on that stick is for the presidency. Anybody who wants the anointing of that Gema stick or that Muthegi that Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta is holding must be willing to vie for the seat of president of the Republic of Kenya. And when I stood to speak, I said, do not let go. Don't let go of that Muthegi until there comes a man or woman who is willing to take the full anointing of that stick, which means to vie for the presidency. You cannot come and start belittling the anointing on it. Unachukua hiyo kiti alafu unaenda kuvai for prime cabinet secretary, or unaenda kuvai for deputy president, and you're telling people, now I'm the leader of the community. The anointing on that, the Kikuyu Council of Elders made it very clear, is the anointing for somebody who wants to seek the seat of president. Agenda? Yes. We had a very good agenda. And especially on the tax bill, which I know we shall discuss later in the show. But there were so many things affecting Mount Kenya, and you don't have to wait until the next election for us to discuss those things that are affecting our people. And we discussed a whole list of them. And when we have an opportunity, as we discuss, I know, because I don't want to preempt, because I know we'll have a touching on the finance bill, some of those things that are ailing our people are there. And I can explain so many of them in details.
Well, let's just get right into it since you mentioned it. Finance Bill 2024. And Nick here, a man who owns several vehicles.
Yes. A fleet.
A fleet of vehicles. Oh. He's badly affected. In fact, he's sweating bullets.
But you've just hiked the rates for using the new road, the expressway. And then you tell us not to use our vehicles. I don't know what intelligence these people use. But let me explain something.
And imagine in 2027 we'll vote for like a 30 more similar intelligent having
See, I told you which ones are voting and which ones are offering themselves.
The monkeys and the lions.
Yes. Now, this is what I want you to get. Yeah. And this is where it gets very painful. And I like having a conversation with Kenyans with numbers. Many Kenyans have this basic car called a Toyota Fielder. A Toyota Fielder today is about 2 million shillings. That draconian bill says, and I call it draconian without any measure of, Aka is about 2 million. So they say you'll pay minimum of 5,000 and a maximum of 500. I mean, of 100,000,
2.5%
which is
of the
2.5% of the value of the car.
Correct.
2.5% of 2 million is 50,000. Okay? And then there comes these special Kenyans who have bought the LX 600 that is 32 million. Now, the person with a car worth 32 million will pay 100,000. So this bill was meant to finish you, the fielder owner, because you are paying 50,000 shillings for your car. But the person with a 32 million shillings car, which means those are 16 fielders, it should have come to 4 million. In fairness, it should have come to 4 million.
He's paying 100K.
He's paying 100K because this bill was supposed to maliza wewe hasa la mujinga ambayo unajifanya hapa kila siku ukisema
And
una
you're
support.
speaking with a lot of
Yes,
emotion.
yes,
Your fielder is going to be taxed.
Let's get closer. There's a guy who owns a Probox. A Probox is about $1 million.
Yeah.
The Probox guy will pay 25,000 shillings a year. Now, compare that with the guy with a 32 million car. That is 32 Proboxes. So 2.5 million times 32 is about another 4 million shillings. So this bill was meant to finish you, the poor people. And now I stopped worrying about government. I worry about the people who support it. Because I think that's where the problem is. The person who comes... I saw a very famous UDA person flaunting a new Range Rover for about 36, 38 million. And she was all over social media telling Kenyans she's achieved now. She's got that big Range Rover.
Oh, is that the one who's going back to the gym?
Yeah, that's the one.
And that person is going to pay 100,000.
Right.
But you who owns a Probox will pay 25,000. This bill is draconian and is unfair. By the way, to the people of Mount Kenya, on the same bill, and that's why we had Limuru 3, go to the part on exemptions, that a vehicle carrying sugarcane will be exempt from road tax and road levy and so on and so forth.
Maruto, are you listening?
I saw that.
Yes.
It came
but
up.
the vehicle
Carrying
avocado,
and
coffee, milk, macadamia, things from Mount Kenya will not be exempt. The vehicle carrying fish from the lake is not exempt. I don't know whether the vehicle carrying musik is exempt. But this is where we are as a nation, that we have chosen that specific regions are supposed to pay more taxes than other regions. And that's why this draconian finance bill must be rejected. And as people of the mountain, we felt that this bill is actually meant to harass and finish as mahali tumebaki kidogo. And the problem is where the money is going into. 2.4 million an hour, paying First Lady 700 million.
State house
wish,
renovations.
yes, I wish this money was going to the right causes. Like right now,
Karen residents.
there is
which
no
has
money
not
to
even
feed
lasted.
children. They are saying they have absolutely
Yeah.
It
no
is not in
money
the budget,
for
by
school
the way.
feeding.
To feed children.
Yes,
it is not
what
in the
they
budget.
have is money to fly at 2.4 million per hour for the head of state. What they have money is to give two ladies a total of 1.4 billion, 700 million apiece.
B.
Well, yes, a billion with a B. This is someone who's getting 2 million shillings a month. More than all the governors. Someone who is getting 81,000 shillings an hour. That's what she's getting. For what? And I think moving forward, Kenyans will start voting for people who are not married. And I'm not fighting marriages, but I think we must get to a place where if it costs us 700 million to have a first lady, we look for a Moi. If that's what it's going to be, this is what it's going to mean then. Because Jeff works here, you work here, and I've never seen your wives being paid for you working. Why are we paying spouses that we never voted for?
And we don't know what they do.
And we don't know what they do and where they take that money to. When you see Gathoni wa Mushomba furious, we've had very close conversations with her. If you go to Githongori today, and I challenge you to go there, first, Kenya is importing a lot of milk. A company that you all know from Uganda. I won't even mention it here. I'll be giving them free advertising and they are not even worth it. But we are importing milk from Uganda. Just to finish, and the farmers in Githongori are pouring, and I want you to record this, 150,000 liters of milk every day. You milk, even the dogs at home don't want to see that milk.
But they've had enough.
They've had enough. So farmers are buying milk in Githongori to go and give their pigs. If we had thinking governors, this was the time to start packaging that milk for school children. Children are hungry in Nairobi. Farmers are pouring 150,000 liters of milk in Githunguri, and someone is importing milk into this country just to kill the dairy industry.
Does that make sense?
And there's a lot of that milk. Every Kenyan knows the brand of that milk that comes from Uganda.
Do you know?
Why do we have milk coming from Uganda? And farmers are pouring 150,000 liters of milk in Githunguri only every day. These are the things that Kenyans don't want to address. When you say there's no money for school feeding program, at least go get that milk. Sakaja, you know our roads also have gotten now dimples. Have you noticed our roads have a lot of dimples?
Usitukane governor yangu hapa kwa ofisi yangu bwana.
Have used a road that has too many dimples.
Yes.
You know, Kitambo used to call them potholes, but I think they are dimples. That milk, I wish somebody would just Tetra Pak it. For the sake of our children in Nairobi. Stop saying there's no money for free school. I'm sure if you told those farmers, instead of pouring it, give it to us. We will go to give to the children in public schools for free. We promise you.
Maziwa-
Those farmers would say yes.
Kubaya.